Hello and thank you for joining us for Northwest Newsweek. Several charges of attempted murder have been laid against a Brampton man following a shooting in Thunder Bay this week, who then exchanged gunfire with OPP officers in the Hercot area just over an hour later. The original incident happened Tuesday afternoon on Forest Street, where a man was shot and sent to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The suspect and another person then fled east in a car. OPP attempted to stop the vehicle near Hercot, which then led to gunfire between the suspect and the officers. No one was struck by any bullets, and the vehicle ended up crashing over a snowbank. The suspect was later arrested after a massive search effort, along with the female passenger, which brought highway traffic to a halt. 34-year-old Andrew Plummer from Brampton was initially charged by city police with attempted murder and firearms charges for the shooting on Forest Street, and is now facing 3 more counts of attempted murder and 4 counts of assaulting a peace officer for their interactions with the OPP. The province's Special Investigations Unit has launched its own probe, which is mandatory whenever police fire their weapons at a suspect. One man is dead following a weekend house fire in Atikokan. It broke out around 8 o'clock Saturday morning, and a deceased adult male was found inside the victim's home. The victim's name hasn't been released. Rainy River OPP are now investigating alongside the Ontario Fire Marshal's Office and the Coroner's Office. Anyone with information is urged to contact police. OPP and Dryden have confirmed the identity of human remains found in a trailer park this week to be that of a man who has been missing since early January. 33-year-old Darren Bernard was last seen on December 31st and reported missing by family 12 days later. A major police and volunteer search effort was launched, but he was never found. On Monday, Dryden OPP received a tip about human remains found inside a vacant unit in the Hillcrest Trailer Park, which they've now matched to Bernard. A post-mortem was carried out on Friday to determine whether foul play could have been involved. The OPP's Criminal Investigation Branch and Forensic Identification Unit are assisting the Office of the Chief Coroner. A trilateral agreement between the Wabaseemoong Independent First Nations and the federal and provincial governments marks a historic first in Ontario that will see the community located north of Kenora control over child and family services. The Wabaseemoong Independent Nations Customary Care Code has been in development since 2011 and outlines the roles and responsibilities to coordinate care for those in the system. It also provides the ability and procedures for upper levels of government to provide funding for programs. The agreement was signed Thursday by Chief Waylon Scott, Indigenous Services Minister Patty Hajdu, and Indigenous Affairs Minister Greg Rickford. In his remarks, Chief Scott says while his community is the first in the province, many others in the region are getting closer to agreements of their very own, and this is just the way of the future for Indigenous care.
If any problems that our communities run into in other jurisdictions, we want to make sure that they're well taken care of and that they come back to rightfully being in our community.
For too many generations, your children and your families have suffered an enormous loss of one another. An enormous loss, a loss that can't actually be made up in many cases. Children and parents and families have suffered, and the losses have meant great hardships to bear.
Spring, you can kind of feel, at least during the day, it represents a new season and a new beginning. So it's fitting from a timing perspective that we would have this opportunity. Because today the nation of Wabaseemoong have charted their own path forward. It's a new season. It is a season of healing.
2 more COVID-19 deaths are being reported across the northwestern Ontario on Friday. One comes from the Thunder Bay District Health Unit and the other from the Northwestern Health Unit. The TBDHU is also reporting 90 new COVID cases since Wednesday. There are now 186 active cases across the district, 13 more than there were on Wednesday. The newly reported death is the 3rd this month and the 82nd of the pandemic. In the Northwestern Health Unit, there are 259 active infections, down from 275 on Wednesday, and the 7-day test positivity rate has dropped to 20.7%. 22 people have died with COVID-19 in that part of the region. Local COVID levels are leveling off, but the Thunder Bay Regional Health Sciences Centre will not be increasing the non-urgent surgeries and procedures at this time. The numbers are gradually declining, with 24 patients in hospital with COVID, down from 29 on Thursday, and 9 of those people are in intensive care. The overall hospital capacity occupancy rate is slightly up at 103.5%, but ICU capacity is down to 77%. Meanwhile, surgery wait times have been increased as 1,600 patients have been added to the queue during the latest wave, putting a total wait list up to 5,500. With over 100 staffers either at home with COVID or isolating with COVID, surgeries are only at a 50% capacity. The hospital is targeting a 70% backlog to address.
Target 182-day wait time for patients and that are not cancer, for example. And right now we're at 219 days, and many individuals are waiting much longer than that. But we're hopeful that as weeks progress and our staffing situation stabilizes, that we'll be able to start to get to some of these long waiting patients and needed surgeries, and very much appreciate the hardship on patients and their families and how difficult it is to wait.
The good news is that the average COVID admissions are down to 4 patients a day. The rate of admissions has been averaging 9 per day in the latest wave, peaking at 15 in one day. Details are now coming to light regarding a plane crash north of Sioux Lookout earlier this week. Fortunately, there were no injuries reported. The crash occurred Tuesday afternoon on the frozen surface of Lac Seul. A rescue beacon was activated and a search and rescue team from 435 Squadron was sent to assist, parachuting search and rescue technicians to the crash site within an hour of the incident. The pilot and passenger were both uninjured and were flown to Sioux Lookout via helicopter. The plane was a Cessna 208 operated by Bemidji Air, based in Sioux Lookout. The plane had left the Sioux airport at around 1 p.m. and went down around 30 kilometers northwest of the airport. The Transportation Safety Board is investigating the cause of the crash. Rising gas prices are already taking a toll on our wallets when we hit the pumps, but it's also beginning to hit other aspects of our lives, like when you go down the aisles of the grocery store. Already, some smaller independent grocers, like the ones dotted along the North Shore, are feeling the pinch. For the last 30 years, Kelly Rivers has worked in the retail and food industry and has experienced many of the ups and downs in costs, but now it's all uncharted territory for her.
I've never seen such a drastic spike compared to now.
Gas prices are on the rise, with stations across the region inching closer and closer to the $2 per litre mark or surpassing it. Rivers became the manager of Costa's Food Market in Terrace Bay late last year and says stores are charged a fuel surcharge for deliveries. For smaller independent grocers, it can get very hard as they don't have the same buying power as large retailers.
We don't have the storage space. We don't have the availability to give the deals that others do. And so it makes it a little harder. And they can buy a skid of one product and pay much less than we do for 6 cases.
Rivers says the items being hit already are what she calls the staples, such as milk, meat, and produce. When asked if there was a buyer's group between the smaller grocers that might help lower the fuel surcharges and in turn lower prices, she says it could be an option.
That would be a good tool to help out everyone in the smaller communities and the further out communities, because not everybody can travel to Thunder Bay, and especially with gas prices, it's still going to cost them the same by going to a big box store.
As of Friday, gas prices are as high as $1.89 in Marathon, $1.99 in Terrace Bay, $1.95 in Scriber, and $1.98 in Nipigon. The Executive Director of Ontario's Superior Country, which promotes tourism in the North Shore region, believes the tourism sector will rebound this year in spite of recent events that would impact costs associated with travel. Despite many COVID restrictions being lifted across the country, ballooning gas prices might cause some pause for those looking to travel this summer. However, concern over another slow tourism season doesn't seem to be on the immediate horizon for Dan Bevilacqua. He believes the staycation crowd and those looking to visit friends and family and experience the region will travel no matter what. He says right now ad campaigns are being widely accepted and breaking records on information requests and guide orders for the Lake of the Superior Circle Tour, which links the region and its attractions on both sides of the border.
We're running multiple marketing campaigns in numerous regions, so we're not seeing as much as a negative around the gas prices as I thought we would. However, I think as we get closer to the season, that's when we might see it if it continues, if the pricing continues to inflate.
Bevilacqua says he is excited to see what new tourism features like Terrace Bay's Waterfront Pavilion and Scribers Discovery Center, which were both completed last year, will do to attract visitors. When we come back, Terrace Bay passes its last budget for the current term of council. Council in Terrace Bay, welcome back. Council in Terrace Bay was in session on Monday. On the agenda, the last budget of the current term of council that will see ratepayers see an overall 2.49% increase over last year. As well, council met with a virtual delegation which provided an update on the township's municipal asset management plan. A municipal levy of $3.4 million is in store for ratepayers in Terrace Bay, or 2.49% overall. It means an average residential tax bill of $2,300 will see an increase of $72.09 for the year. Acting Mayor Rick St. Louis says, unfortunately, taxes must go up to maintain service levels, but he credits administration for keeping rate increases as low as possible.
Our administration has always been very good with where they want to go. They know how we feel about increases. They keep everything in line. And we've got in the last 4 years especially, we've had a really good plan about updating our equipment. And over the 4 years, if you look, we've done major improvements to public works and a few other things.
Noticeably other projects that saw a complete overhaul of the storm sewer system on Radisson Avenue and Kenogami Road, as well more recently Mill Road, which will see further improvements this year. St. Louis says the town recently ordered a new fire truck as one of the new capital purchases for Terrace Bay. As well, water users will see a 3% increase in their bills, which keeps the water treatment plant and its associated infrastructure running. Council was also given a breakdown of its asset management plan. St. Louis says it's a requirement for municipalities and sometimes difficult to accept, but he has a positive outlook despite the challenge they face.
The bottom line is we're no different than any other municipality. We have an infrastructure gap as far as spending goes, and it's something we'll look at. We're slowly addressing it. I think everybody in any municipality will tell you it's going to be a challenge. But we'll just put our nose to the grind and we'll slowly work at it. And the main thing is we'll just make sure that we look after what we have.
Some of the infrastructure in Terrace Bay has been around for almost as long as the community itself, which will celebrate its 75th anniversary this summer. It appears EMO will be on the lookout for a new permanent chief administrative officer following the official resignation of its previous CAO, Bridget Foster. Operations at the town office were thrown into the lurch late last year after 2 staff members had gone on leave, with a third leaving the organization altogether. All the while, an investigation into allegations of workplace harassment were underway. The township later brought in former Fort Frances CAO Doug Brown to carry out duties on an interim basis. In an interview with TBT News in early February, Mayor Harold McQuaker stated the situation had stabilized and was happy with the direction things were going. On Wednesday, Council accepted Foster's resignation as CAO effective April 8th for this year, with McQuaker thanking her for her many years of service to the community. Council then went into an in-camera session to discuss the matter further, with the public agenda indicating restructuring considerations. Construction is now well underway on the new truck inspection station on Highway 1117 in Shunya. The $30 million project by the MTO has been in the works for over a decade. Once completed, the weigh scales and inspectors will be able to monitor big truck traffic from across the Northwest and beyond. Vasilios Bellos reports.
Planning for a new truck inspection station between Thunder Bay and Nipigon first began in 2011. The previous station and weigh scales near the Red Rock turnoff were demolished in preparation for the 4-laning of Highway 1117. The new station will be located at this spot along the highway in Shunya. The project's total price tag is just over $30 million, and when it's done, will resemble this existing station in southern Ontario. The new weigh scales and other infrastructure will be capable of handling the ever-increasing transport traffic along the route. Rich Gambola is a contract services administrator for the Ministry of Transportation and explains more about the benefits of the finished product.
This configuration will help to ensure the safest options for the transports, both pulling in and pulling out of the truck inspection station, as well as it will minimize the impact to the traveling public. By ensuring our trucking industry is compliant with the current legislation, then this is one part of making sure that our highways are among the safest in North America.
The inspection station itself will be on the north side of Highway 1117, with truck parking on the south side. Once completed, the new inspection station will handle a significant amount of big truck traffic.
As Highway 1117 is the only road across Canada, the location of this truck inspection station will be instrumental in monitoring the local as well as the cross-country transports. This location allows MTO to inspect a wide variety of users and to ensure that they comply with the Ontario's rules and regulations.
The construction of the new truck inspection station is expected to last for about 2 years and is estimated to be up and running at the end of 2023. Vasilios Bellos, TBC News.
Coming up after the break, the winter months continue to drag on, and with each and every snowfall, more and more residents get frustrated, save for one man out in Scriber who turns frozen precipitation into works of art. Welcome back. What is often considered the precursor to an hour of intensive labor with no promise that you won't have to do it again later that day is a welcome sign for one North Shore man who looks to the sky with glee each time it begins to snow.
That's what they're calling me, an artist. I can't believe it, because if you look back at my art classes, I wouldn't be getting they wouldn't be calling me an artist.
When it snows, most people call it an inconvenience, but for Scriber's Kim Osmussen, it's a reset of the canvas. For the last 3 years, he's been making gigantic masterpieces with snowshoes instead of brushes and providing breathtaking works of art on frozen lakes and open fields, most recently achieving national recognition for his creations for the recent Scotties Tournament of Hearts in Thunder Bay.
I started as a challenge to myself. I think I can do this. And then as it started to take off, I said to myself, well, I didn't say to myself, I just realized how many people, I think more because of COVID, were getting joy out of looking at the art. And I was getting a lot of comments on Facebook and whatnot. Geez, thanks for putting this up. So that sort of became my driving force.
And that driving force has continued his push to make frozen masterpieces and has even sent him into the realm of ice carvings, creating several pieces in Scriber, including a soldier for the Cenotaph in 2021, an ice hammer for the local hardware store, and a frozen fist for former Olympic boxer Dominic Fillane. He says this art form comes with its own new set of challenges.
That takes a bit of time. It all depends on Mother Nature. So I'm still, I don't have the perfect scenario. So sometimes it might take a week, it might take a week and a half to get the ice the way you want it. And then it takes longer just because I'm not one of those ones that can just hop on the chainsaw and start carving stuff up. So I'll do a bit, leave it, come back, look at it, and do some more. The trick is not to take too much ice off at once. But if you do, at least you can put another piece back on.
Osmussen says as long as the snow keeps on falling and doesn't drift too much, he, along with friends, family, and other volunteers, can make almost anything. When we spoke with Osmussen late last month, he had hoped to be able to do something to show solidarity with the people of Ukraine, and on Thursday revealed his latest creation on Rungi Lake, the Ukrainian flag and a sunflower, the official flower of Ukraine. A Kenora icon, which has been attracting tourists for photo ops for the last 55 years, is about to get a big facelift this summer. On Friday, Kenora Rainy River MPP Greg Rickford announced nearly $500,000 from the province to restore Husky the Muskie and refurbish the surrounding McLeod Park. The investment is aimed at attracting tourists and revitalizing the Kenora Harbourfront. The 40-foot-tall metal sculpture of a giant muskellunge has graced the area since the 1960s, but has been in need of repairs and a fresh coat of paint. The work will be carried out this summer and also includes lighting and washroom upgrades and improved accessibility for those who flock to see the famous fish. Thunder Bay Police Chief Sylvie Hoth is responding to a pair of reports from outside bodies which called for Indigenous deaths in Thunder Bay to be reinvestigated. The OIPRD's Broken Trust report identified 9 deaths where the local probes were found to be substandard. The 9 reinvestigations are now complete, and the new report details many flaws and omissions by city police. However, only one conclusion was changed. The 2016 death of a woman near the rail bridge along the McIntyre River has been amended from accidental to undetermined. Chief Hoth issued a statement acknowledging the family's need for answers, and she feels the recent changes to their investigation process will address the deficiencies that were pointed out. The reinvestigation team has also recommended new probes into the deaths of 14 other Indigenous people in the city, and that prompted Kiiwetinoong MPP Saul Mamakwa to raise his concerns at Queen's Park Wednesday.
That Thunder Bay Police Service failed to properly investigate the deaths of 15 Indigenous peoples. If these were your family members dying without proper investigation, this situation would be intolerable. Will the Premier please explain why this government is failing to act when the Thunder Bay Police Service is treating Indigenous peoples as less than and unworthy of proper police investigations?
I couldn't agree more with the member opposite. I am deeply concerned, as are all of us, I'm sure, to hear about the reports. We have been following and will respect the chief coroner and the chief pathology. They have, of course, sent a report to the Attorney General, who is reviewing that right now. But it is absolutely imperative that any investigations that were not done completely and thoroughly need to happen immediately so that those families understand exactly what happened.
Mamakwa is now calling on the government to order a commission of inquiry and order OPP oversight over the Thunder Bay Police Service until that inquiry is complete. Thank you for joining us for this week of this edition of Northwest Newsweek. Come see us again next time we air on Friday, next weekend.